To put it simply, Kuration is an AI agent to replace the manual work of putting together the most relevant list of companies or people. When you do business, you always try to find clients, find partners, investors that are extremely relevant for your business. And usually this process takes a lot of time. You need to use databases.
Hi, this week I spoke with Aurelien, a solopreneur and startup founder of Kuration AI, about the challenges of running a young startup just by himself. So let's dive into it. Hi Aurelien, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, wonderful. It's great having you on the show. I'm really looking forward to understand more of your young startup, just 4 months in the making. Tell us a little bit more about Kuration AI.
To put it simply, Kuration is an AI agent to replace the manual work of putting together the most relevant list of companies or people. When you do business, you always try to find clients, find partners, investors that are extremely relevant for your business. And usually this process takes a lot of time. You need to use databases that will have some data point that you can use as filter. But those data point, revenue, industry, location, they're actually very standard and they only do half of the work you need to achieve. So for the second half, usually it's done manually. And that's what I was doing in my previous startup, Bransfeed, where I had like 5,000 freelancers and we're doing this type of research manually, so very tedious for our clients. And now with the era of LLMs, we can automate the whole process of the research.
Great. And how far are you with the development? Are you on the market already?
So it's in the market. We have some paying customers. We have new signups every day. Now, what I like to say is AI agents are new, right? So there's nobody that actually had an AI agent that is working as it should, like perfectly, right? It's still a vast research and development area. Really, nobody knows where we're going with this, but it's very exciting. I think AI agents are still under probation. They are still on probation, meaning it's fun. There's still someone you just hired, you work with them. It's not perfect, but you see the potential, right? Think about it. You have a new staff, right? Is doing half of the job super quickly, but the second half is not perfect or still a lot of problems. You're still happy because the first half was done like in 5 minutes instead of 12 hours. But for the second half, well, we still have a lot of work, improvement to work on, but it's going in the right direction.
Interesting. So you just your project is 4 months old and you have customer already. So I believe you're really fast. Are you happy with the pace of the development of the scaling of your organization?
Well, I think it's always you always want things to go faster, and you never feel it's going fast enough. But from experience, it's always like this, right? You have like what you think is going to happen and what's happening. And the thing is, in the market, you're not alone, right? People that have their own timeline, they have their own schedule. Even if you solve problems that people have, they're busy, right? They're on vacation, they have other things on the agenda. So yeah, get some customers. I think it's actually a good fraction or good thing to have is even before building the product, you need to make sure you can get some customers ready to pay for your product or for your services. Ideally, even before writing any line of code.
Right? Yeah, that gives kind of like the product market fit, right?
Well, at least you identify that you have a problem that people want to pay for a solution, right? And yeah, so we're not, we're not making millions already, but at least we have people paying, and it seems to be quite all right with the results. And we have, as I said, like people signing up to try the tool on a daily basis. So I think things are going well.
That's great. That's great. You're saying we. How many people are in your
Well,
team currently?
we is more like it's a institutional.
Uh-huh.
It's, for now, it's mostly myself. I work with a few other freelancers, but it's more like on a contract basis, like for
Mhm.
design, UX. I like to work with people that are smart and get things done where I might lack a few skills and experience. But for now, it's full time as only myself, which is also a good thing. You said speed. When you're alone, we always say if you want to go far, you need to be with people. Early on, early days, being alone gives you something that is speed, right? You don't have to talk. You just get things done. You learn from the market. You iterate, which is very critical, right?
Mm.
And then you can always onboard people to go far. The early days, I think it's good to be alone.
This isn't your first startup, is it?
I will say second one.
Second one.
Yeah.
Mhm. So what would you say out of like your experience, what were like the main challenges, the headache, the challenges that kept you awake in the night in any of
For
your stuff?
the first startup, so the first startup was kind of similar to the second one. I mean, the second one is basically the result of some of the conclusion or insights I gathered from the first startup. So the first startup,
Oh, I
we
see.
were doing
It's the
research on the web.
upgrade,
Yeah,
the,
great. Yeah,
the
trying to
bit
automate.
more like developed product and yeah, okay. Mhm.
Correct. I think the main challenge when you build a business, and it is going to sound like a bit expected, you're really alone. You are alone. You're alone, right? All the problems, the money, customer not paying you, people on your team not performing, you have to let them go, but you're responsible because you hired them. All those problems, you're really alone, right? And nobody on the team or even on your family or partner, parents, nobody understand, right?
Mhm.
The only
How
people
did you cope with it? Like, it must feel lonely and there's a
you
high
learn it.
pressure to succeed, right?
You
How
learn it.
did you cope with it?
You don't. I mean, I didn't cope with it. I mean, you just. I mean, you.
Mm.
I didn't find a solution. You just have to accept that you're
Mhm.
alone. But I think if this is
Mhm.
making decision, you have to accept that you have this responsibility, right?
Mhm.
And being responsible for a small shop like a bakery, a coffee shop, or a restaurant or startup might not be the same consequences, the scale, but that's the same feeling.
Mhm.
I'm sure, right?
Mhm.
You feel that's it. You just have to accept that that's a state that comes with the job,
Mhm.
and being aware that that's part of the job. That's it. Nobody will bear
Mhm.
nobody will bear this for you, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I see that a lot with my clients and with myself as well. You need to kind of like quote unquote have the balls to really walk through it, right? It's
Yeah,
either fly or fall.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So you would say that basically there are like this challenge you didn't overcome. It's a constant growth for you to be able to be with the feeling of uncertainty, being alone and being responsible for what you do, being responsible for the wins, but also for the failure, if there's failure, right?
Yeah.
So that's something where you don't have a breakthrough yet. Is there something where you created a breakthrough, where you found already the solution that you would like to advise to our audience?
Well, just to clarify, when I said I didn't find a silver bullet solution that works all the time. And I
Right.
have a few tricks, right? I have a few tricks. Um, Going on a walk again is not like didn't do like research in the lab. It's just things that work for a lot of people, but it also working for me. Journaling,
Mhm.
having this retrospective on your own life decision, trying to zoom out. Zooming out, I think, is a good way to solve this problem. All the problems that you face, people not paying you, you need to fire someone, all the challenges, feeling alone. If you zoom out, then you realize it's fine. And one of the things I was doing a lot is sometimes you just need to go to bed. That's it. Just go to bed. Tomorrow will be better.
Yeah, the next day the
That's it.
perspective is different. Yeah.
That's it. Just move on. Right.
Mhm.
Some days they're just bad. That's it. There's nothing you can do.
Mhm.
the whole universe is against you, but tomorrow the universe will be with you. And it's also the good thing with entrepreneurship. You really have this excitement, which I don't think anything else could give you that feeling of I'm responsible for everything that happened to me. Of course, you have COVID, you have a few external events that you don't control, but everything else is for you. Like you get a clients, you get a good feedback. It's all like it's so exciting.
You're in the driver's seat of your life. You can basically make it happen. Obviously, yes, as you mentioned, there are like external environmental effects, right? And we don't know how our clients will conclude on our proposals. There's a big difference in the certainty of getting a paycheck when you are in a corporate setting and you are working in a 9 to 5 compared to be an entrepreneur and running your own business. Like for me, I wake up in the morning and I'm like pumped. And yes, I'm tired in the evening, but I'm happy when I go to bed. Whereas I experience a number of people that are in 9 to 5, they wake up tired and they go to bed like even more tired, right? So I fully get that. I would like to understand, how do you deal with the situation that there's always something on your to-do list? I know a lot of people, they like to check off the to-do list and then go to bed. As an entrepreneur, there's always something new constantly. I have a number of teams, fix one problem, I get one thing done. In the meantime, like on different channels, they're already reporting the next stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it?
It's a good question. I think it's also like a kind of an open research and development field. I tried a lot of things. Like you can find a lot of content online. Like you've got many gurus, they have YouTube channels, they have their framework. Honestly, I think you have to accept chaos and the fact that you cannot have the perfect organization. I think it's the same thing. The good analogy I like to make is when you're a chef and you're cooking, while you're cooking, your kitchen cannot be clean. Right?
Sounds very French.
Yeah, well, I can't help it, right? Can't help it. But I think it's the same when you build something, when you have a business. Of course, you need a framework. You need to be organized in certain ways. You need to keep track of things. But it's not going to be like, oh, this is my to-do list. Everything is super organized and I check and no. Sometimes there are weeks I just use my journal. I take notes and my tasks are here. Then maybe, but all the tasks are actually on Notion, right? But sometimes you see, I actually get back to Notion yesterday. For a while, I was actually using notes. The thing is, this system, I just use the to-do list, but it doesn't matter where the to-do list is, right? So I'm not like a fanatic. Oh, everything has to be centralized and clean, and with the dates. No, you know exactly what needs to be done.
I agree.
But having a list of things you need to achieve, that's it. That's the whole. That's the only thing you need to have.
I would also say it's a perspective and mindset thing, because like if you perceive the tasks on your to-do list as a mountain to climb, you will never arrive. Right? Because in a business, there's always something to do. So I changed my perspective for myself, and that's something I do with my clients as well, where we change the perspective from climbing the mountain towards developing. Every step brings us closer to where we want to go, right? Rather than like, oh my God, there is this new task and a new task and a new task. It's more like, I'm happy to do the step towards the development, doing the steps step by step and getting closer to the organization that I actually want to create, rather than feeling disempowered by the numbers of tasks in my to-do list.
The Chinese, they have a good saying. They say a journey of 8,000 miles always start with a first step, right? That's it.
I like this one.
That's it. It doesn't matter where you go. Could be very far. You have to take a first step, right? And you lay down those bricks one by one, and then you have a house, right? Yeah, I totally agree. You have your to-do list. Of course, you need to take like 1,000 actions to actually get to the results. You need to take a first one. Actually, a good practice is to break down anything you do. Always break it down into small pieces. If you say, "Oh, need to upgrade the website," it will never be done. Never.
Exactly.
But if you say, "Upgrading my website okay, that's the big idea, right? But actually you need to do this every day. Like this is like a endless goal, right? No, but if you say fix the header or add a call to action to the newsletter, or add a pricing, update the pricing, add some testimonials, that is achievable. That is small. It's a small part of upgrading the website. It's a bit like the OKR framework. I don't know if you're familiar with this. I'm not I'm not a big fanatic of all those framework, but I think they get a few things right, which is breaking down tasks into small pieces that can actually be measurable, right? And this is done, not done with some metrics. But when it's just yourself, it doesn't matter. Again, the good thing when you're alone is you don't have to document all those tasks that you do, right? I don't have to tell my team, hey, I've done all of that. What did you do? It doesn't matter. It's done.
I worked with a startup in Switzerland, in Vancouver, in 2021 and 2022. They started from the founder group where I got in as an advisor, and they scaled very fast. They raised $15 million in the first round. Metaverse was booming at the time. Meta was at that time just rebranding, and like everything went very fast. And they had like no team, right? And then they wanted me to like help finding the right people. They wanted names on board from Google and Facebook and so on. And things moved really fast, and the founders had the same issues. Like, how can I translate now my culture and my vision to the new teams, like even to the C-level executives, in order to build the department? Everything needs to be documented. We need to get the processes that were kind of like what the founders were doing like every day. Suddenly they had to like really bring it on paper and translate it into a work style of an entire team. And that wasn't the first time that I experienced these challenges in becoming a team, becoming really an organization versus being a 1 or 2 man founder team. So there's a big gap, and definitely help needed to build a company culture that supports the overall goals of the organization.
Yep.
Plus, especially for remote or hybrid organizations, ensuring that processes and communication of the different teams that are, in most cases, diverse teams in different time zones, right? To really ensure that the performance is according to the milestones and expectations of the investors.
In most businesses, scaling to 15 to 30 people is easy because you can still be in direct rapport with the funding team, and so you have this direct rapport. But as soon as you reach like above 30, 50 people, 100, you really need to have new processes, frameworks, those tools like, Asana, Trello, everything is well documented, reported. And that's actually where a lot of organizations, they just fail. And that's why a lot of agencies, marketing agencies, actually they're doomed to stay small because they're failing to go above 30, 50 because they lack the skills to scale in terms of organization.
Yeah, exactly. And leadership plays a large role once you go over 15. It's impossible for the CEO to oversee everyone by him or herself. So you need basically the leadership, you need to translate the leadership to the C-level. And there's where you need the right people.
Which is hard, which is very hard. And a lot of people, a lot of companies, they hire the wrong people. You waste a lot of time, you waste a lot of money, and again, that explains a lot of companies' failure. Not entirely the reason, but definitely it doesn't help.
Yeah, fully agreed. So with all your experience and with the challenges you encountered and battled and still battling, like in the process of building an organization, what advice would you give to someone that launches his or her own business for the very first time, or is kind of like in a consideration jumping from a 9-to-5 job into entrepreneurship? What would be the top advice you would give?
I think we have there are a lot of advice everywhere on how to start and all of that. I think a very good advice would actually be to not listen to most of it. Because even if you, the problem when you read and watch and listen to all, first of all, you're not doing anything, right? You just thinking you understand business. The only way to start is to start, right? So my advice would be just shut down everything, YouTube, podcast, all of that, right? Visit entertainment, and actually go out there, right? And start, talk to people, find customers, get money from them, and do things, right? Then of course you can watch a few podcasts, videos, read a few books. I've done it myself, but the thing is, most of the advice that you receive, you won't follow them anyway, right? I made all the mistakes. I read them in the books, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. You will do those mistakes. That's the only way to learn, right?
Do you think it has to do with overthinking? I feel so uncertain, like whether I have the self-confidence and self-esteem to become an entrepreneur, but I have like this feeling I would really like to fulfill my dream and become an entrepreneur. But what will happen if I don't get the paycheck at the end of the month? What will happen if I'm not good enough to run this business? I believe a number of people likes to hide behind, I need to watch this podcast first, I need to do this course first in order to qualify to become an entrepreneur.
Then I think they failed the first test. I'm sorry, but entrepreneurship is not for everybody, right? You need to be a little bit crazy. You need to jump and do things. If you like, oh, I need to educate myself, I need to, then you're gonna be great at. In theory, you know everything about running a business, but you never run a business. You never tried. So actually, you don't know anything, right? You think you know because you watch all those documentaries, but it doesn't mean you are an entrepreneur. It's okay. Like not everybody has to start their business.
Do you think getting an entrepreneur mindset is something you can learn?
I think you can learn the spirit and the mindset. I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't know they are, and you can actually be an entrepreneur within a company, right? It's just you have this drive of being able to start a project, manage it, but you just don't have the ability to take the risk to actually be on your own. But we have a lot of entrepreneurs everywhere, right? And some people, they don't know they are. Like if you take politician, in a way, they're entrepreneurs. Their business is themselves. They have the brand. They need to run campaigns. They have a team. They're entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But no, not everybody has that mindset. I think some people, they just don't have the. I think it's something you can learn. Actually, you can still change. But the thing is, some people have, like, for instance, if you don't have confidence, it'll take a while to actually build up your confidence, right? Usually it's something rooted in your youth, right?
What I do with my clients is usually I bring them already into situations that an entrepreneur would be facing, right? Maybe I involve them in one of my projects where I let them run it. Like basically I invest in a project, let's say a podcast Facebook group where the podcasts get distributed and published and so on. And then I let the person run with it. The project on yourself, like own it, be the owner of the project. And then you will see, like, people in the beginning, they will like get back to you and ask you for advice and so on. And you tell them like, no, you try to fly, find a solution, right? And then let them fly maybe for a week. And then you look into like, okay, what did you experience for yourself? Like when you didn't know what to do, how did you feel? What was your inner conversation? What was going on in your mind? Can I do that? What do I need to do? Right. And then I work with my clients on these inner conversations and reframe them. Because once people get aware of what's really going on for them, and once they get aware that they can choose the thoughts that they put their focus on, they understand that then they suddenly sit in the driver's seat and be able to overcome their roadblocks that are mostly a result of their past, social imprinting, maybe the parenting style at home when they were kids, or experiences in high school when friends told them, hey, you're not good enough in any form. It still stuck somewhere, even though we don't realize always. So what I'm doing with my clients, I go back with them I reframe, rewire, and change from a victim mentality to a creator mentality. And I tell you, I have a number of clients where it really worked out well, from a mentality of like, I'm rather an employee and live in my safe space where I can trust I get the salary at the end of the month, towards like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I will make money, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm free now and I learn to fly. If I fall, okay, I learn from it and I fly again.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me wake up empowered in the morning, every morning.
Yeah, 100%. You just touched on something interesting as well. Is the when you put some of your clients in the driver's seat, one of the things that people have and some don't is this mindset of problem solver. Some people, if you don't tell them how to solve a problem, they will never find a solution on their own. I think it's a good way to know if you're an entrepreneur or not. Some people, they're good, they are great.
That's true.
You tell them, hey, please fix this problem and do it this way, they'll do it. Then you're an employee. An entrepreneur, whatever life is throwing at him, he'll find a solution. It might not be sexy, it will find a way to just overcome that. And actually, as an entrepreneur, this is what you do on a daily basis. You solve problems. Different nature, but it's always about finding a solution. So being resourceful is probably one of the most important aspects. And you cannot learn everything in advance. That's why I think all those educational material about starting a business, entrepreneurship, it's good, but you should really not consume too much and take action, but be resourceful.
I like that a lot.
Knowledge just in time instead of just in case.
Yeah, very good. I like that. Perfect closing sentence. Thank you for your time and good luck for your startup, and keep us updated with your success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.